Hi, my name is Natalia.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
One more thing I would like to ask you two, because I think it's really interesting to get like all those different kind of opinions on like the application process. And for example, for the organization experience, what would you guys say if someone wrote in there that they are organizing a fan base, for example?
For me, it's going to pick my interests, okay, not knowing anything at all. But, you know, if you're going to put something like that, you probably want to define it a little bit of what you're doing, right? So when you say organizing a fan base, to me, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So again, organizational experience, to Nat's point, maybe a couple of bullet points or one bullet point to at least define what it is. You know, it's not going to sway me one way or the other. If I'm looking for a graphic designer or whatever else, like Nat said, I'm going to be looking at your skills and I'm going to look at your, portfolio and background. But, it might pick my interest, as long as it's not something that's your main point. I don't necessarily think that it hurts. It's just how you phrase it and how you go about presenting it is what makes the difference.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I know like a lot of design armies are working spread out on different like fan bases and help those fan bases with graphic design. And of course, you always get like experience. Like, okay, we know this, but maybe someone outside of the fan base doesn't know this. But like, I for myself know that working in a fan base, like no matter what kind of topic they have, and you're doing the graphics, like that's also like valuable experience.
Absolutely.
That's like really good because actually you're like kind of in a small company, I guess, or you have people giving you feedback.
So, one of the things that I was going back to was like when I was saying earlier about highlighting your skills. So if you have little to no work experience, highlighting your skill sets, your organizational experience and stuff. But the other thing is also highlighting, don't be afraid to highlight what you volunteer for, right? So a lot of times when you don't have, work experience, your internships and the things that you volunteer for show that you're actively working in that, and that you can actually build your portfolio off of things that you volunteer for, right? So if you volunteer to do a graphic design or some sort of, creative works for, even a fan base, whatever, you don't necessarily have to say that it's a fan base, but you could show that, use that volunteer as an example and use the work in a portfolio that you can tie back to give an example of the work that you did. So don't be afraid to put any sort of volunteer work that you did, because that for me is actually very important. I like to see the fact that you are actively pursuing this, and that, even with volunteering, you're proactively doing something about it. You are proactively giving feedback. You are proactively putting your work out there, and you are, even with the volunteering, you're gaining experience. So don't be afraid to put all your volunteer work out there and link it to your portfolio.
For someone to be passionate enough to do volunteering works is actually like it's very refreshing in a way, and I really like to see like what my future colleagues interested in. So yeah, I mean, volunteer works, fan base work, if you're good at it, if you have portfolio at it, put it out there. Like yeah, I mean, it's good to see. And we kind of like, we as a recruiter kind of can judge like, okay, so this person have interest in what topic, and they put their like 100% on it, and this is what they do. So we can see the potentials in it. We can learn more about something new every day. So yeah, I mean, even in my form for the recruitments, I usually put like, tell me like one thing that we cannot see in your CV. One interesting thing about you.
Yeah.
Are you like, I don't know, like maybe army maybe, or you collect toys or something. So like we kind of want to see what they're interested in, and I don't know, like using that as a ice breaking in the interview maybe, like and we just like want to see more about you that we cannot see online or in LinkedIn or something. So yeah, we want to learn about you a little bit more.
Well, and the thing is, if you're afraid that, K-pop in the professional world may be, I don't know, seen in maybe not a good light or whatever, if you're worried about the connotation of the word fan base, you don't have to necessarily use that, point out BTS or ARMY or even, fan base or anything particular. You can list it as volunteer work on a social media platform. So just say, I did volunteer work for this social media platform for this account, blah 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 blah, and highlight the work. So focus on the actual work that you did, and not so much focusing on the fact that it's an army account or it's an army fan base or anything like that. So there's a way for you to go about directing that focus on the actual work that you volunteer to do, and highlighting and showcasing that without drawing attention so much to a fan base, if you're concerned that that might be a point of judgment, right? I mean, personally, I'm an army. I've met thousands of people across the globe. Like, in fact, I was interviewing for 4 jobs in Japan. I needed 4 technical, analysts in Japan. So I was interviewing for Japan, and I had one person that was applying for the job in Japan from the UK. I had another person from Spain, I had one person from Belgium, and I had one person from Mexico. So I had 4 people across the globe applying for a job in Japan. I had nobody in Japan applying for the job, though. But it's funny because I talked to thousands of people, and nobody has ever told me that they're an army. I would probably hire an army on the spot, but majority of the time that doesn't come out in conversation. I'm sure somewhere along the way I've actually talked to an army, but most people don't admit that, right? They don't advertise, and you're not going to, meeting me, you would never know I'm an army unless you see all the BT21 stuff hooked to my purse. But in an interview setting, if you go, like when I meet a candidate online or in a conference room or whatever, and I'm interviewing them, they don't usually come to my office. Now my office has got stuff everywhere. Like, you can totally tell I'm an army, but majority of the time you don't know. So most people are not going to advertise that they're an army or that, they belong to a fan base, because like I said, it might give negative connotations, even though there's nothing wrong with it, but you're in a professional setting. So there's no reason why you can't put the fan base work that you're doing if you're volunteering for that kind of stuff. But like I said, just drive the focus based on the fact of your work, and not so much, the fact that you're doing it for a fan base, right? Because you don't know who's looking at, who's looking at your CV at any point in time.
Or you can just like treat the fan base like a client. So like that's how you treat them. So like you don't look like really attached to it.
So they don't know yet.
But you're still like doing works for them. So
I mean, we have so many fan bases. Like, every fan base has some kind of a topic. So you're working for an organization that gives, like, that runs a social media page on information about getting a job and job applications.
Right.
Or you're working for an organization that supports people who want to be better or want to try out graphic or video design. And like, every fan base has some kind of a purpose or some kind of a topic that is there, and that you can like put up front and then tell later in the interview and see how they react.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, like, think about it this way, Facebook has these Facebook groups, right? And they really tout those, like they advertise it, they really pushed it, they market it, right? So there's all these Facebook groups that you can join, groups for reading, groups for exercising, groups for whatever. And they use that as a marketing tool in Facebook, right? So, you don't necessarily, so in itself is its own little social media organization. So if you want to call it a fan base, whatever, it maybe not be a fan base, but it's a base of group of people that have like-mindedness about the same interest. Well, that's really kind of no different than what we're doing, right? We have an Army group that's focused on graphic design. We have an Army group that's focused on helping recruiting and career advice. We have, Army group that helps with academic and stuff like that. So if you kind of look at it like that, like it's a small little organization or group that is associated with a specific interest, then that's where you kind of can guide. So like to Nat's point, you did volunteer work for this social media group that's specific to this, and this is what you did. So, you can think about it that way. You don't have to kind of, put out there that it's a fan base, because like I said, Facebook itself has different groups that specialize in certain things. So you can use it in that kind of texture or in that structure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think, like, if you have it a little bit more neutral in your CV, and then later in the interview, of course, in the interview, you get to know the people you might work with or the person who will hire you. And if you feel comfortable and you want to get it out or want to like tell a little bit more about yourself on a personal note, you can always unpack that and see how they react, maybe. Like, but on a personal note. But I was always looking for open-minded agencies that were like open for all the creative stuff, whatever is out there, because you can draw so much inspiration from all different kind of things or interests or hobbies like this. Back then, I was not an army, but if I would look for a job in a few years, I would definitely put this out in a job interview just to see also if the company that I apply for or the team that I want to work with together, yeah, how they react, I guess. That it's a valuable experience that can go into your in your CV, because I think most armies are not sure on how to get this across on a professional level.
No, I definitely want to see your volunteer work. If that helps build out your portfolio, because it's called what I call transferable skills, right? So you got to leverage that. You got to leverage your transferable skills, and that basically means that you don't have the work experience because you're starting out or whatever, but as a recruiter or as an HR person, if you've show that you've got transferable skills, things that you've done that I know you can take and transfer into this current position, that's important for me, right? So if you've got a skill set where you're volunteering or you're doing work for fan base and stuff, you're learning, you're building that work experience. You're utilizing your expertise in that specific industry or that specific design concept or whatever it is. Well, that for me is transferable, right? That means that I know that you can take that and now you could probably apply it to the job that I'm trying to get you to do or that I'm looking for. So transferable skills are great. So, don't shy away from putting that information on there.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like if you're studying, you maybe don't have a lot of time on your hands. So doing an internship in a design agency, for example, can be really tough. And with doing those kind of organization work or like work that you're doing on your free time, you can have you are a little bit more flexible. You can do that maybe after you studied in the evening or maybe on the weekends, and you can gain some skills on that can help you get a job or get an internship or what you apply for. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I hope some of the advice will be useful for them. I wish them all luck, and I know it's daunting, when you're trying to find that first position. So, but keep at it because somebody will see value in what you're doing. So
don't give up.
Sure. Everybody starts somewhere, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Everybody starts somewhere. So
Yeah. I can say like my CV when I was done with university looked nothing like the 3 CVs that we looked at today. Like I did so many mistakes on there. So like, and reaching out for feedback or to ask for help is never a bad thing. Like really, I'm like, as I'm not a English native speaker myself, I'm always like checking with other armies when I need to put out some English text or anything. Yeah, because that's not what I'm like what I'm really good at, or even if I've been working for I think now 7 or 8 years, I'm still looking for feedback on my work, because you will constantly improve yourself, and it would be really sad if my portfolio or my CV from 4 years would look the same from today, for example. So it will only get better. Like everything will only get better. Yeah.